Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this week's show on the Life School MasterClass show, where we bring together mission driven entrepreneurs who come together to grow personally and in their business towards greater impact, collaboration, and contribution. We have built the community of the Life School Business Hub as well, where like minded entrepreneurs come together to build strong and trusting relationships among one another in order to do just that. So, grow, contribute, and make a greater impact. Today, I have the amazing honor to have another really special guest on where we will chat about how to build trust in relationships using social networks. So, and today specifically, we'll be focusing on Facebook. Vanessa, thank you so much for finding time to come in and chat with me today.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, I love the intro video. That was amazing. I was like,
Thank
kaboom. I was like unexpected, but thank you so much for inviting me. And I am so honored to really advocate on how to maximize the use of your Facebook profile because I've seen it so many times from coaches, entrepreneurs, online businesses, or whatsoever. They would always talk about monetize your Facebook profile, but there are only a few percentage who are actually doing that with a purpose driven and mission, mission and vision related, that they are doing it in the right way.
hmm Yes, very, very important. So before we get into that, Vanessa, tell me a little bit about your little professional journey. How did you get to where you are today? And in a nutshell, maybe just the major points of how you are here today and based on what you do today. Because I want to make sure that
Yes.
the audience knows a little more about you.
Oh yes, absolutely. So I started as a life producer. So many of you may know as a life producer as a life insurance agent, but I decided to run as like a private solo agency myself. But then learning the wrong way, kind of put like a bad in what do you call this? Um, it's kind of like a bad persona for like other insurance agents to be driven by commission breath. But then I wanted to go ahead and become visible online, which is like at first I tried LinkedIn, that didn't work. But then I looked into like Facebook again and I started networking with others, presented myself as one, but then that didn't really work. So I had to go ahead and shift everything on how to one become more visible online in on Facebook, two learning on how to really present myself of what I advocate in and then what I believe in, and then three really learn the personal development and then change the whole mind shift when I present myself as one, but then now most of the people that I have talked to have have struggles in terms of marketing themselves, doing the selling point, lead generation, and finding the high quality leads. And then what I found out is just that how I presented myself on Facebook Messenger. And that's how I close all of my sales right now, not as a life insurance agent, but something else that I have developed along the way.
Hmm. All right, interesting. So share with us whatever you like to share about how you've been able to optimize that because it's very, very true. I share the same sentiment that if you don't have like I'm a business strategist. I call everything a strategy, but strategy doesn't have to be. Sometimes I feel like there's a negative connotation to that, like a strategy, like an agenda. But you do have to have a strategy and a bigger reason what you're doing. Like you have to be very clear about why you do what you do and believe in what you do, first of all. I think without that, the rest will be a struggle. And maybe, that's why a lot of people, strive with that. And I did at the beginning as well, because as you're building your confidence and every time you change a niche, I know you have to start over with everything. So it's, I struggle with that personally. So I know very well what that, what that feels like. But I know, when you're trying to present yourself and you have like a marketing strategy, because you need a marketing, you can't be everywhere. You can't be in all the platforms, as you said. You can't jump from LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram. But I think once you're very clear about who you're serving, that becomes a little more easier to understand. Once you know where your people are, who is it that you want to
Mm-hmm.
help, then that's the strategy behind, right? And the strategy is in a positive way where you have a very clear belief in what you do and you're strong at it and you deliver results. So then the rest becomes about serving people. To me, it's
Mm-hmm.
not even about selling. It's like, I have to tell you this because this will help you. I think once
Mm-hmm.
you will become very persistent in your own, strong in your own thing that you're selling, that's where the mindset comes in for sure. Because you have to
Mm-hmm.
sell it to yourself first. And then
Mm-hmm.
for you to communicate it to someone else. But I think once you're strong in it, it becomes very clear. And then absolutely it's about trusting, building trusting relationships. Because I mean, I have encountered, we were chatting a little before the interview, and I said, I don't think it's as much of cold messaging, I guess we could call it, where people just randomly, they don't know about you, but their agenda is to kind of like get you somewhere into their, world, which is fine. We're all entrepreneurs, right? And we know we have to hustle and we have to do what we have to do sometimes. But I think when it comes to that level, you can intuitively feel that it's on the needy side. It's not so much on the serving side. So tell me a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about your experience with that and what have you learned so far that we could share with our audience.
Absolutely, because I have done like network marketing also. So I've been like a beach body coach, Modair, what else? What do you call this? Sorry. Um, what else is like there? Plexus, we've all, I'm sure some of the audience here have experienced like getting into like network marketing or whatever they call it, like MLM and whatsoever. But then most of the time, you would go ahead and show products and share what you're doing, right? But then at the end, it always shows as if you're like sales pitching. But then I've changed that because as I have like learned along the way, taking courses, getting into like high ticket coaching program, I'm like, okay, there's a better way to go ahead and do it. And they always say like build your KLT factor, which is the know, like, and trust. And in the way that you can maximize and optimize your personal profile is not even dropping any kind of sales link.
Oop, I think we might have lost Vanessa as we're on the live. Oh, there we are. I said I lost my guest on a live show. Prepare a speech or
Uh,
what about
it's okay.
beauty.
But going back to the KLT factor and tip on how to post yourself on your personal profile is that we all know that Facebook, when you drop a link that takes them outside of Facebook, Facebook wants you to remain inside their platform. So on your personal posts or content, you don't want to leave like outside of Facebook link. So you can go ahead and direct them to your Facebook private community or private paid private account, or like Facebook groups or business page or fan page. So in a way you have to go ahead and build like start like posting the RVL method, and also at the same time show them like the challenges that you have to face, the adversities that you have gone through, and then how you come out of it. So the RVL stands for results, value, and lifestyle, because that's how people really connect with you when you share stories about yourself, sharing what you are, who like what you're doing. But at the same time, you're not really selling yourself. You're just sharing a piece of your journey, and basically just like letting people know who you are, basically. But you just have to be like really authentic and genuine about it. Whatever that you show on like social media has to really connect in real life too, right? And not just like the glamour or whatsoever. So that's why at the end I said that you have to show like, being human. Oh, I had this like adversity about like having like a money mindset. Um, my upbringing, what I have gone through, sharing my like, oh yeah, I got divorced before and what I went through and everything. But just like to the point where where you are feeling comfortable of showing it to the public.
Mhm. Absolutely, like tie that to something bigger, right? To make sure that we're using it for a connection, and it has a context around the conversation based on what you're sharing. Because I believe, you even that it's like you gotta understand how to share it, where there's a purpose to that as well. We're not just like throwing things out there. Yeah, very, very important. So Vanessa, tell me, as it's something that based on your experience, how do we start a good trust building intentional chat Facebook messenger conversation, like based on your experience, what do you suggest?
Well, for one thing, we know that we have like about 1.4 billion users already on Facebook. So we have a plethora of like connection, but we have a cap of only like 5,000 personal friends. And of course, like, if you have not understand how algorithm for Facebook works, is that when you are actually reaching out to friend request somebody, you have to be really intentional. Why would you want to go ahead and connect with them? Because that would be something that I would like to know. Why did you want to connect with me? What made you or prompt you to like connect with me? What is it that we can go ahead and share about? Because in that way, that's how human connection connect, right? It's all about relationship building and about like mutual interests and whatever that we can go ahead and share about. So when it comes to that, don't just randomly like, connect with somebody just because you want to sell. Right? And then another thing is that when you try to go ahead and reach out to them, like, hey, guess I found you in Facebook group community, like, Elona's, and I thought that we can go ahead and connect together. And I found you have to go ahead and make sure that you look into their profile too, because sometimes it may be not be something that we are aligned with or share the same value, or how we can go ahead and collaborate, or just have like a normal friendly talk, right? So in that way you can actually like, the other person receiving that friend request in your messaging will not feel like repelled, but rather compelled, because they want to, hey,
Mm.
yeah, we are in the same community with Elona. Why not? I want to go ahead and get to know you more, get better. But
There's
because in
a
that
common
way,
point. There's a mutual point. I think it's important to just start a conversation. Yes, to find
yes,
something in common, if possible.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. So in that way, you can actually, like, one, it actually boosts your algorithm. So that means when the other person actually accept your friend request, saw your message, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm curious about her. What is she doing really? I saw her on video before." And it's something that you can go ahead and pick up a conversation from, right? So in that way, like, hey, you know what? I am pretty much like attracted or curious to know what you do and what you're all about. Like, you have a commonality, and basically it's just like, oh my god, I can relate to this person. That's without even selling, you guys. You have you have attracted somebody, because when you present yourself as one, like, they can want to know more, they like you more, then they trust you, but you're not really selling, you're just giving out huge value. And of course, later on, they will say, like, hey, what do you do? And
You
then the
flow
question,
naturally. You'll flow naturally. We don't, yeah,
yes,
so true, right? Because if you like someone, it's like, hey, I like you. What do you do?
yes, exactly.
I mean, that goes for personal relationships that have nothing to do with business. It's so true. We could take
Yes.
the same idea here. Mm.
Yes, exactly. So in that way, not only your Facebook algorithm will go ahead and start kicking your posts on their feed, and then when you actually interact with their posts, and then you guys are interacting on Facebook Messenger also, then it comes in naturally that it becomes like, oh yeah, Facebook recognizes that both of you guys are really connecting to down to genuine, like, like connection. That's what Facebook is about. Connection. So make use of that one and just, yeah,
Yeah. The
it flows
social
naturally.
It's a social network after all. For sure, for sure. They're really great tips. I mean, I could relate to so many of those because there's been a lot of testing, and I'm always curious about what it takes. Like, why do I connect with some people that is natural, and I will always appreciate their services? So you never really have, I mean, there's a level of just education, but
Mm-hmm.
the selling part is like removing that out of your vocabulary and being how many people can I connect with that I can help. I think
Mm-hmm.
once we even like frame it that way to ourselves, it doesn't become so anxiety provoking. And then
Mm-hmm.
we have to reach to this, to these many people and do that. I mean, yes, you do have to have a strategy because obviously people are busy. Not everyone has a connection with you yet. And don't take it
Mm-hmm.
personal if you get a no, or obviously they're not. I feel like a lot of times it's timing. It's time
Mm-hmm.
also where they are in their lives. It's not necessarily that your service does not really help them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people
Yes.
take that very personally and be like, well, it's not working. And then they get discouraged and then it just brings them out of their momentum. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
tell my clients a lot. It's like, it's the timing. So we got to feel, that's why I think what you said is so important about doing a little bit of homework to see if this person is the right fit for us
Mm-hmm.
to work together, and maybe where they are in their life right now, maybe they can use our services and vice versa. I mean, it's
Yes.
like a thing we could do together. That's why I said
Yes.
I honestly love more collaboration. It's like I love when people the word bartering, but not bartering in the monetary sense, but like if I have a need and you can fill that need, then you can help me fill another need because now we already have a nurturing, like a good relationship and trust.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we can develop from there. This is
Mm-hmm.
where the idea of the business hub community that I was chatting with you a little bit about came about, because I feel like even me, if I trust someone, I'm like, what else? How else can you help me? That's just a natural thing. It's like, oh, you
Mm-hmm.
help me with that. I love you. You're amazing because these are results I got. It's like, what
Mm-hmm.
else maybe you can help me with, because I don't want to go out and look for someone else and take more time. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very valuable. I feel like that's like number one commodity nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just find someone that you relate with, as you said, and we're actually
Mm-hmm.
interacting as humans,
Yes.
a little bit of touch with that since after COVID and all of that. I feel like I don't know how we're going to adjust to face. I find myself people now. It's like, okay, I have to readjust again because now we're used to virtual. And yes, it's been great in other ways. But anyway, I think we're social beings. We love to connect with where we find the most value and happiness. So,
Exactly. And if you think about it, the buyer's journey is pretty much like they start with your crocodile brain, because everybody always, there's nobody. Don't tell me that you don't even search for something that you're currently needing. And then you always like look for something or something that pops up in your, like, on your computer or on your phone. And then basically just like, you are emotionally driven to buy this stuff because they would pick up something that you already like, looking for. But
it's already in there. You're already thinking about it. Mhm.
exactly. So it's just a matter of like presenting and consistently showing up. And then basically it's just like not really like, selling as much, but then you're really taking to the pain points in where the pleasure that they want to be in. So you have to think about in this way. It's like either you get out of your pain points or you want to get to the pleasure point destination. So it works both ways. Yes.
I like the way you put that because it's so true, right? A lot of times with our reptile brain, we already know what we want, but the biggest problem nowadays is distraction because
Mm-hmm.
it's becoming such an important skill to build.
Mm-hmm.
As shiny object syndrome, there's a lot of things that get in our way. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that is really important about really, but that will come once you are clear. I feel like clarity is really power. Like once you're clear about what you're trying to do, then you'll minimize the distractions much easier. But when you don't know what you're looking for and you have an indication, it's so much
Mm-hmm.
easier to lure you into
Mm-hmm.
that next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and then you end up having all these things that you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, and then that's how you actually drop your productivity as well, because how many hours in the day do we actually have? So it's
Yes.
really getting focused and clear about what we're trying to achieve and doing it one
Mm-hmm.
step at a time. Business is always a journey. That's how I say
Yes.
I love it, because it's like the best personal development journey I would ever, encounter, because you're always changing, you're always adapting, you're always feeling the needs of your customers. You have to personally develop yourself. I don't think there is any business growth unless you're growing personally.
Yes.
So that's another. You're as what is that saying? I read one of the quotes the other day. It said you are as your business as big as your mindset. Because
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And
so
it composes like what Tony Robbins would say is like 90% of it is the mindset.
yeah, it's 90 now. I thought it was 80, and
Yeah, he put it out. That's like 90% now. If you think about it, I'm like, okay, it does seem like correct because I am part of like, a membership group where we talk about mindset. We talk about like, everything else in between that has to do with like money, business, and life and mindset. So it's like, it helps me. And I just reviewed that on a replay today. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then she just mentioned today, 90% has to do with your mindset. That's what Tony Robbins said. But correct me if I'm wrong.
no, that is it. I mean, that is it. That's why my specialty is mindset, but I don't say that because I know that's the real work. I mean, that's the real
Mm-hmm.
work. And I don't see people investing in that, unfortunately, yet. I see people
Mm-hmm.
investing more in the tools and the strategy, which it's fine, but with that
Mm-hmm.
mindset, how are you going to apply that in the right
That's
way?
right.
You're still not going to get the right results. So I think it's the mindset part, in the way that you have to put yourself in these environments. Exactly what you said, because that's
Mm-hmm.
that's how I do. That's how I learn. That's why I'm a big believer of like master classes, putting people together. Even the vision of the community we're building is about putting people together that are experts in different areas, and then you like something will hit you once you're around those people and you talk about these topics. Then it's like you connect your own things, you connect your own
Mm-hmm.
limitations, you connect your own things that might be holding you back, because honestly we're not, as humans, very good at really recognizing our own hidden blocks and our own hidden spots, because we're just not meant.
Mm-hmm.
We're inside of it, we're part of it. We need someone else, or someone to hear someone else talking about it, and then we're like, oh, you're like in my mind, that's exactly what I need. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how we identify it. That's why,
Mm-hmm.
like, these environments, if you find the right environments you can be part of and be part of a community, I feel like it doesn't just give you the emotional connection, the collaborations, and building the trust and relationship, but also helps you personally, because then you are in there, and then things will hit you, things will spark.
Mm-hmm.
Will spark you. Just, I mean, honestly, that's how I've grown to this level, and that's how I'm going to continue to grow, because I want to
Mm-hmm.
be part of this, so I can, the more I'm observing, the more I'm taking in, the more then I go to apply it in my own business. But
That's
unless
right.
I put myself in those areas, I'm just going to just be in my own little small world, and entrepreneurship is very lonely, don't you think sometimes?
Yes, it is. It is. That's why I always like surround myself with like-minded, like, anybody who is like, going through a journey, because in that way we can actually like add each other like value, what we have learned along the way. If they need like an accountability or a little a kick in the ass, so to speak,
Oh,
because sometimes that's where mindset kicks in too. Because sometimes we go through like, I don't know if I can go ahead and do this. I've heard in this and this, I'm not growing, I don't think that I can make this, like what you said. Or it's not like, it's not for me, but you haven't really like, stay in it. But you have to think about it, like business grow within 5 to 3, even 5 years later on. And businesses who actually stayed for that long can go ahead and tell you like, yes, it is a journey. It's not just like, you stop at one destination doesn't mean that you can't go any further.
yes, absolutely. Vanessa, listen, I could chat with you all day. We have good synergy. because I think we can relate to a lot of different things, right? And I love that
Yes.
we're just like putting together our perspectives, and hopefully whoever listens to us will just, find their own perspective. That's the whole point
Yes.
of this.
Yes.
I just wonder, we've come to the end of the interview. Is there any last things that you'd like to share with us? Where is it that people can find out more about you, or any last things that you want to share with us as we
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can always find me on Facebook. You can find me on Ilona's friends list. I mean, if it's like a mutual list, I can go ahead and drop my link on how to get a hold of me. And if you have any other questions or anything that has to do like how do you lead generate or start with your marketing sales strategy, because without marketing there is no sales. So you have to think about it in that way, and always have that like purpose driven of a business, especially if you're doing service providing, like as a coach or whatsoever, whatever that you may be in your business journey. But I'm always up for any chat, because I can always give you like any kind of like freebie tools, softwares that I can go ahead and recommend to you. And sometimes I always like ask the person that I talk to, and see if anybody of my network is looking for you. So it's all about collaboration and networking, and just like being like purpose driven.
hmm You're the girl with the tools, and you're a great connector. That's how we actually met as well. So I appreciate you. Thank you for so much for everything you've shared so far, and we will absolutely stay connected. So I see really good things happening in the near future. So I really want to thank you for your time, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, everyone, for having me here, and I'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.